Thanks to Flow Chargers for sponsoring this video. Flow Chargers makes reliable, high-quality chargers for your electric car and now for your truck. That's right, and this truck is all electric. This is probably, no, make that definitely the most buzzworthy, the most interesting truck of the year. It is, of course, the Ford F-150 Lightning. And in this video, we're going to do two walkarounds of it. We're going to walk around and look at it first and foremost as a truck. So for all you truck guys and gals out there, we're going to talk about things like payload, like towing. Does it work like a truck? And then we're going to walk around it again and we're going to look at it as an electric vehicle to see how it compares to the other electric trucks that are out there. And that, of course, includes the Hummer EV and, of course, the Rivian. And I've been fortunate enough, actually, to drive not just this truck, but the Hummer EV, the Rivian, and I've actually taken a ride in the Cybertruck. So I kind of feel like I'm in a unique position to talk about this truck. So let's start by talking about it as a truck. And to do that, I think we have to close the frunk because, let's face it, most trucks do not have frunks. Now this, of course, is the Platinum model of the Lightning, the most expensive one. And it is pretty staggering in how much it costs. And I will tell you that at the end of the video because I'm still trying to process the number in my head. But the Lightning starts out as a fleet truck at $39,000 and then moves up to the Platinum, which, well, I'll get to that in a second. But Ford has said that they want to make this a vehicle that is actually affordable. So at $39,000, let's face it, it's a bargain. And all Lightnings are all-wheel drive. Yep, all Lightnings come with two electric motors. So if you're thinking about how does it work as a truck, it works very well as a truck because it will be automatically from the factory all-wheel drive. Now, of course, the Platinum comes with these giant 22-inch wheels and tires, and these are big boys, and they do ding the range and they do ding the payload. So let's start with that. Let's look at the payload. Now, Ford just announced this week that they've upped the payload on the Lightning to 2,200 pounds, which is a lot. But if you look at the sticker here, this Platinum's payload is 734 kilograms or 1,619 pounds. And for all of you non-truck guys or gals who are watching this because you're fascinated by an all-electric Ford F-150 pickup truck, the more stuff you put in a truck, in other words, the more fancy stuff, the nicer the interior, the more it weighs, the less payload you end up having. So as our videographer Ian moves away, let's look at the styling. And you'll note that this looks very similar to a Ford F-150. And that is, of course, on purpose. Unlike Hummer or unlike Rivian or unlike, gosh, the Cybertruck, Ford wanted to make this thing as close to a traditional truck in terms of styling as possible. Obviously, what's different is instead of a fuel filler, you end up with a charging port. And we'll talk about that in a little bit later when we're talking about the electric features of the truck. But as a styling exercise, this looks very similar to an F-150. Dare I say that if you saw this from the profile, you'd have a hard time without seeing the word Lightning on the side, knowing that it is indeed an electric truck. And it's basically the same size as an F-150. In other words, you know, there are three sizes of trucks, basically. There's mid-size, the small truck like the Tacoma, best-selling truck in the segment. The full-size F-150 has been the best-selling truck in that segment for a long time. Well, in fact, it's the best-selling vehicle in America for a long time. And then, of course, heavy-duty. So this falls squarely in the full-size truck, which makes it the most popular truck size in America. Now, let's talk about the bed. One of the cool things about this, of course, is that the tailgate does this. And other Fords do that as well, but, you know, it's pretty cool, where you just click your little key fob and the tailgate opens up. And unlike other Ford trucks, this one doesn't come from the factory, maybe the other ones don't as well, with a bed liner. So when I tell you the price of this truck, you're gonna have to figure in $500, I think it's about $500 for this bed liner, which is an option, and I'll show you that to you later on the Monroney. But in general, you know, it's a standard bed. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tie-down points. And perhaps the most interesting thing is that there's a little tape measure built in right there. Over here you've got your beverage opener, depending on the kind of beverage you like. For me, that would probably be an iced tea. And then, like many Ford trucks, it's got the built-in step, which allows you to get in and out of the bed of the truck much easier. So pretty standard stuff here. Now, what is unusual, especially if you don't have a recent Ford truck with onboard power, is right here. And this is something that actually Andre has on his hybrid. And it's a total of 7.2, well, I think it's a total of 9.6 kilowatt hours of onboard power. So you'll note there are 4 standard plugs, and then one a little bit more high energy plug. That's a 240 volt 30 amp or 7.2 kilowatt hour, kilowatt max plug. It is a little confusing. On this you can do things like power your tools, but you can also do a lot of other things with it, which we'll get to when we talk about this as an electric truck. So let me show you one other cool feature of this vehicle. Close this up. Come on, do a backward Roman. There we go. And click the button. And voila. It closes on its own. Now, in terms of towing, once again, depends on which truck you get, but it goes anywhere from 7,700 all the way up to 10,000 pounds of towing. And that's you know, right in line with where many trucks are. It's a little bit less than a traditional F-150 would be. I think you could probably get close to almost 14,000 if you were to configure an F-150 with the, you know, 2-wheel drive and the right size bed. You could get higher, but if you're towing, let's say 13,000 pounds with a full-size truck, you should probably have a heavy-duty truck. Let's face it, that's a lot of weight. And speaking of weight, electric trucks are heavy because they have obviously a battery pack underneath. And this truck weighs just under 7,000 pounds, which is considerable, but probably not as considerable as the Hummer EV, which comes in at over 9,000 pounds. And that, of course, is because the Hummer EV has a much bigger battery pack, but we won't talk about that yet. I don't want to scare all you guys off who don't like electric trucks. So we'll keep talking about the truck stuff, traditional truck stuff. And of course, being America and being built in Detroit, the fact that the Rouge plant, you get your American flag with your little lightning bolt. So Ford, in fact, has built an entire factory dedicated to building this truck. So they have not just doubled down, but I would say tripled down on electrification. So this is in fact their 3rd electric vehicle, and certainly not the last, the first being the Mach-E Mustang. Then the E-Transit is number 2, and if you've watched some of our coverage from the Chicago Auto Show, you know we've done a walk around with that. And of course now this is their 3rd electric vehicle, the Ford F-150 Lightning. So Ian, why don't you jump in the passenger side, I'll jump on the driver's side, and let's look at the interior. And this will be very familiar to a lot of you guys. If you've been in a Ford vehicle, you'll feel very comfortable because basically the bed and the cab are the same size as any F-150. But this being a Platinum, you'll note that I've got some of the really cool Platinum features, and perhaps the one that people talk about the most is this seat, which I will demonstrate. Goes completely flat. So if you are thinking about taking a long break from your travels, not only does the seat cushion come up, but the back of the seat, and I don't want to take it all the way down because I have to move it forward, but it lays completely flat, so you can take a little siesta in your Lightning, and that is an option, of course, that comes standard on the Platinum version. And in fact, this seat I think has something like, and I'm guessing here, so don't hold me to it, but 30 ways to adjust it. Not only does it go completely flat, but it also does this. There's also speakers in the headrest, making for quite a luxurious truck. The other thing that, of course, Ford has pioneered that is very good is this shift lever. And what's cool about that is you can fold it into its little cubby hole, and then you can take this and open it up and create, well, if you're a construction worker, I suppose this could be someplace where you keep your papers or your important files. If you're a small businessman, or if you're me, of course, this is where you would have your lunch. It certainly does fit a number 7 at McDonald's. Anyway, we won't talk about that. That's another review for another day. Let's keep going. Let me start it up. And this is where it's, of course, very different as well. You won't hear the engine start up because, well, there is no engine. There are 2 motors. And then if you've ever been inside of a modern Ford pickup truck, you'll be familiar with Ford's latest infotainment system. This is also very similar to the Mach-E, and what I especially like is a volume knob. I like how that's kind of integrated into the screen, really slick. And you'll note that not only do we have a brake controller, which is nice, but we have Pro Trailer Backup Assist, which is the ability to use this to back up a trailer. So, you know, backing up a trailer is counterintuitive. When you want the trailer to go right, you turn left, vice versa. This basically flips it on its head. So if you want to go left, you go left. If you want to go right, you go right. It's been around a while. You do have to have a little bit of technical knowledge to get it set up, but it's pretty cool. Let's look at some of the other cool features. So we click on the little lightning in the corner here, and here are all of your cool features that come standard on this Platinum. Obviously, there are many cameras, starting with the bird's eye view. But if you click over here, you can look, you know, to see what's behind you. If you're backing up, trying to hook up a trailer, you can see what's next to you. You can have a camera that points down at the hitch. This is all pretty standard stuff that's been around a while. This is your tailgate camera, and you can also plug in a camera into the system if you wanted to, like, put one on your trailer so you could actually see what's behind the trailer. So obviously cameras have been a game changer for many vehicles, and this is not new. But what is new is something that's pretty cool, and that's right there, onboard scales. So this truck comes equipped with the ability, close, continue, with the ability to weigh how much payload you have. And as you can tell, like I said, this has a total payload of 1,600 pounds. Well, 1619, but 1,600, and you can fill up your truck, and Ford has this really clever way of telling you exactly how much weight is in the bed, so that, for instance, if you're hauling stuff, you don't exceed the payload, or if you're towing properly, usually the rule of thumb is that you use 10% as tongue weight. In other words, if your trailer weighs 10,000 pounds, you want to put 1,000 pounds of that weight, or 10%, onto the hitch, and that tells you if you're at that magic 10% number, which helps mitigate trailer sway. So that's pretty cool. And then for towing, you can also set up a trailer, and then of course the truck remembers that trailer, so that you can have multiple trailers. You can name those trailers, and then you can keep track of how long you've been towing, and so on and so forth. This is once again available on the current truck if you get the right thing. Zone lighting is a little bit different on the Lightning. This allows you to light up the area around the truck. So if you're at a work site, you can, for instance, start early in the morning and, you know, light up either the bed or the area around it so you can see what you're doing. So if you're powering tools, obviously it's good to be able to plug those things in and see. And then this is interesting. This is your onboard Pro Power, which shows you how much power you're putting out, and there are 2 different points that you can get power from the truck, both from the tail, from the bed by the tailgate, and of course from the front. Now, I think this would probably be a good place to transition into what makes this a unique electric truck. So let's switch gears here, and for all of you guys and gals who are into electric vehicles, let's talk about that. Oh, of course, I should show this too. It has a massive sunroof, which is really nice. So if you want a much open, much airy feel, you could do that with this vehicle. And of course, in here too, you've got still, believe it or not, power plug, which used to be a cigarette lighter once upon a time. Then you've got 120 volt, 12 amp outlet, and I would bet, I haven't checked this out, but I would bet there are USB ports galore. Yep, there's one right there, USB and USB-C, and a nice big cubby for things like, well, hats, gloves, so on and so forth. And before we start talking about it as an electric truck, let me also run in and show you the back seat, just how much room there is. One other feature, and you can show it right there, is, well, you can show it right there. Like many other trucks, you can adjust the pedal position. I'm doing it right now. So if you are like our friend Jill, and you are a little bit on the shorter side, you can adjust where you want those pedals. And believe me, this seat comes up so far that my head will hit the ceiling. And then you've got traditional buttons over here. I'll hold the camera in. So you've got traditional buttons over here for your rear view mirror lights. I can show you where those are for your front and for your tailgate, and of course the traditional controls for lighting. And Ian, I'm going to get in the back seat. I'll show you how much room there is now. I'm probably not sitting behind myself, but you know what? In a full-size truck, it doesn't matter. There's going to be just a ton of space back there. So let's take a look. This seat is pretty far back, and I am very comfortable back here. No issues. Tons of elbow room, tons of space, and you know, this is a good truck that can go cross country. And then if you let me borrow the camera again, Ian, I will show you guys something pretty cool over here, and that is, look at that, heated seats for the passengers in the back. More power, another electrical outlet, and another USB and USB-C port. So lots of power. And speaking of power, well, one more thing. Let's show them the wheels and tires before we completely change the gears. Like I said earlier, this is the platinum version, the top of the line. I did grab it on purpose, and we are rolling on 275 50 22s. These are M&S rated, so you know, that's a big honking wheel and tire. But you can get more off-roady wheels if you get some of the other models. And speaking of some of the other models, let's go pop the frunk and talk about what's special under there, because now it's time to talk about this vehicle as an electric truck. And this is where it gets really interesting. So, first and foremost, one of the hardest things to do with a pickup truck is to go pick up your friends at the airport when it's raining with all of their luggage. So if it's you and your significant other and you're picking up two friends and they've just traveled across the country and they've got loads of luggage, where do you put it? You only have one choice, right? You can't put it in the cab. You have to put it in the bed. And if it's raining or snowing, or you're stopping for lunch and you don't have a secure topper or a cover, you're going to leave that stuff outside. And this solves that problem with trucks. In other words, here we have a very large trunk that can keep your stuff secure. We've got our two camera bags in here. Ford says you can put up to, get this, 2 full-size golf club bags in here. Why golf club bags? Well, I mean, that's been the way that people have measured the size of a trunk forever. So for all you golfers out there, you can keep them in here and go to the golf club. Now, the other interesting thing, of course, is right here. Check this out. You've got 2.4 kilowatt hour, 120 volt, 20 amp, 1, 2, 3, 4 outlets, and once again, USB and USB-C ports, which is you know, a lot of power. So we're here in Texas in San Antonio, and if you remember, what happened was there was a bad ice storm that came around, it was almost a year ago, I think, and people weren't able to actually power their homes, their weddings. And with this truck, you've got enough power where you can actually plug the truck in to your accessories. Let's say you're trying to power, I don't know, an outdoor wedding and you need to power things like lights and cameras. You could do that with this truck. More importantly, you could also power your home. Ford announced that for about $3,800, They've partnered with a company called Sun, and I can't remember the last name right now. I think it's Sunrun. And they will set up an inverter in your house along with a charging station where you can actually plug this vehicle into your house and, well, power your house. It sounds simple. It's not. And by the way, if you're wondering, I'm here at the San Antonio Zoo, and there's a little kiddie train that trucks around. So that we're getting a little kiddie track coming around. So I'm going to use this second to get a little cheat sheet with some of the numbers so I don't get them wrong. So let's talk about horsepower. 580 horsepower with this particular Platinum truck. And get this, they just upped this number, 775 pound-foot of torque. I think we have to wave to the kiddies. There's nothing to it. We have to just take a little bit of a break and wave to all the people. Hello! Hi guys! That looks like a lot of fun. I wonder if that's electric. Probably not, I can hear it. All right, as they go by, I'll give you some other numbers. Probably the most important number that you're wondering about for all you electric car fans and truck fans is what's the range? Well, this one, Platinum, with the big 22s will go 300 miles, but the regular one without the Platinum big wheels will do 320. If you get the base model, the Pro, with the smaller battery, without the extended pack, it's 230 miles. So there are basically 4 models: the Pro, the XLT, the Lariat, and the Platinum. Now, let's look at the battery size, because there are a lot of different battery sizes. So the standard range tows 7,700, like I said. The extended range tows up to 10,000. But in terms of battery size, well, there's a lot of numbers here. Battery size, I want to say it's about just under 100 kilowatt hour battery that comes with this. Yep, that's a number that I can't find. So let's keep going and talking about the other cool electric truck things that are here. Hey, how you doing? Are you a fan?
I saw the truck, I'm like, hey.
You like it?
Yeah.
You like electric trucks?
I like trucks with power.
So 775 pound-foot of torque, over 500 horsepower.
Seriously?
Yeah. How fast do you think it's going to go 0 to 60? Take a guess. Take a guess.
About 4.5.
Very good. Just around 4 seconds, according to Ford. So there you go. So once again, the cool thing about electric vehicles is that they're quick, and this one is no exception. So we're looking at 4 seconds, 0 to 60. And that's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. Now, of course, if you're wondering, there is a button to let you open up the front in case you get stuck. But let's keep going and talking about this as an electric vehicle. So I'm going to close it up as he's driving away in a Mustang. How appropriate. And of course, there is your front camera. And like I said, you also have lights over here, and I believe that is your light right there if you want to do the lighting surround. Now let's talk about charging. As you know, this can do level 2 or level 3 charging at a maximum rate of about 100 or just over 150 kilowatts on a level 3 charger, which means, according to Ford, that from like 20 to 80% you're looking at about 41 minutes. It does plug and charge, so if you drive up to, let's say, an Electrify America station, it will automatically bill your credit card once you plug it in. And of course, if you have the app, you can also schedule times for charging so that when electricity is less expensive at night, you can schedule it to charge less at night. The other cool thing that it does is you can, using once again the Ford app, precondition the battery. So you basically preheat the battery so that when you get into the vehicle in the morning, you're going to get full range, because range really depends on a battery vehicle on the temperature of the battery. So if it's cold, that 320 number is definitely going to drop. And then you can also precondition it when you're coming up to a charging station. That 150 kilowatt hour number depends on the battery being at the right temperature. If it's cold, it's not going to accept that much power. So it's got the usual electric vehicle limitations, which means that, for instance, towing, we have found that, and Ford might dispute this, but we have found that with towing, you basically drop your range in half. So when we tried towing with the Tesla Model X, which had a bottle range of about 350, we were able to tow about 150 miles before we needed to charge. And then the problem, of course, comes that you have to go from 0, because you're trying to get as much range, to 100 to get to the next Electrify America station, especially if you're towing someplace like where we live in the West, because the stations are far and few between. Now, interestingly enough, GM just had an announcement which was, I think, meant to take some of the spotlight off of Ford, and they said that the new Corvette is going to be electrified, and the thing that they're most proud of is a heat pump. Now, a heat pump is not like a traditional HVAC system. It's more efficient. So I asked, does the Lightning, which is now becoming like an electric car badge of honor, have a heat pump? And the engineer in charge of it said, no, it doesn't. It in fact does not, but they're going to skip the first generation of heat pumps and they're going to go right to the next generation. GM claimed that the Corvette gets about 10% more efficiency with the heat pump. So there you have that. Now, it does have Blue Cruise, which is Ford's semi-autonomous driving. I gotta be very careful how I say that. If you want to see how that works, I just did review the new Navigator, and that has Active Glide, which is the Lincoln version of it, and it will allow you to basically on charted highways, they're kind of geo-fenced, have the vehicle drive itself, where it centers in the lane, keeps an appropriate distance in front of the car in front of you, and then steers as long as your hands are on the wheel. Can you tow using Blue Cruise? No. That is something that GM says they can do, but Ford does not support towing right now. Let's talk about some other cool electric car things, and we have to go back here to show you something. I'm going to pop this open again. If you are a fan of electricity, then you'll note that back here is a little bit bigger plug, right? This one right here. This plug right there. So you can use this plug to get this, charge other Ford, and Ford says even non-Ford electric vehicles. So what you can do is if you have a Mach-E, you can charge the Mach-E off of the Lightning at about 30 miles an hour. So I don't know what that translates to in terms of how much current you're putting out, but at about 30 miles an hour, you can, in fact, charge your Lightning or other electric cars off of this. And we've actually done a video with Andre's hybrid where we have charged a Spark EV while we were towing it using Andre's hybrid. So I have no doubt that that works. Now, here in Texas, you may be wondering, how long can I power my house if I have the $3,800 inverter and all of the other stuff I need, which is going to probably cost a little bit more because that inverter doesn't include actually hooking it up to your fuse box, which depending on where it's at in your house may be more expensive. But let's say you've got that. How long can I power my house with the Lightning? Ford says you can power your house up to 3 days, or if you in a situation where many blackouts are rolling, so the power comes on and off, up to 10 days, which is pretty staggering because, you know, that's a lot of power that you can do to help you, you know, keep the refrigerator running when there's no electricity. So between 3 and 5 days. Now, you might be wondering the most important question. How much does this Lightning cost? This Platinum Lightning? Well, here's the number that I'm still having a hard time processing. And a few years ago, we did a video where we asked, when will we hit the $100,000 mark? And we've hit that with heavy-duty trucks. But this particular truck has an MSRP of, get this, starts at $90,000, and we're looking at $93,500. And they're sold out. In fact, Ford has over 200,000 pre-orders for the Lightning. So the question that I'm curious about is, how does it do off-road? How does it do towing? And of course, how does it do when you actually try to power your house? And you know what? We're going to have videos demonstrating all of that because this is just an initial preview of the Lightning. Coming up very soon on TFL Truck, I'm going to take this thing off-road. Well, not this one, not with the 22s, but you know, one with more appropriate wheels and tires. I'm going to tow with it. And I'm not sure I'm going to get to charge a house, but I will do a 0 to 60 run because we do have our solo DL. So be sure to stay tuned for those videos because they are coming up. But right now, this has been your comprehensive Ford F-150 Lightning Platinum the top dog F-150 Lightning, walk around, and be sure to go to alltfl.com, where we put all of our videos in one place so that when we do have the off-road, and I'll give you a little hint, Ford says that every Lightning comes basically equipped as an FX4. In other words, it's got the same off-road cred that any FX4 package would have, and that includes underbody protection and all the rest of it. But that is coming up very soon, alltfl.com. Thanks again to Flowcharger for sponsoring this video, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you shortly. See you next time. Ciao.